Most people think that building a marketing agency is laptops on the beach and passive income. The laptop on the beach thing is a lie.
I left that company. I was making 500 grand a year. You love it. I burned all the boats. I got divorced from a woman that was not supportive of my entrepreneurial dreams. And I even divorced the zip code that I lived in for 40 years. And I made it to the point to where there was no other option. What commitment is the elimination of options.
If your company disappeared tomorrow,
You had to start over with nothing.
what would you do?
And as long as you don't take my suits away from me, I would get my hair combed back, throw on a suit, and go door knocking to some damn businesses and sell them something that's a non-tangible product, like consulting. I'd get myself a $5,000 check from them, tell them to pay me $5,000 a month, and I'd build myself up 20 consulting clients, and I'd be making $1.2 million a year. You know, when things aren't going right or things aren't going as fast as I'd like, I just remember it's probably only below 66, and I just got to keep on swinging.
Welcome to Outside the Corporate Box. I'm JMan alongside Jeffrey Scott Stanton, and in this episode is brought to you by our founding partners, Wise Agent, Subi, and the CE Shop. These are the companies that I believe in, that we believe in, that we're building here, and we're grateful to have them in our corner.
The playbook is changing. The question is, are you changing with it? This is Outside the Corporate Box, real conversations with real leaders who broke the mold and built something better, with your hosts, JMan and Jeffrey Scott Stanton.
Most people think that building a marketing agency is laptops on the beach and passive income. Our guest today scaled to over $5 million in revenue, works with 300 plus clients, and built the whole thing with his wife sitting across the table. And he will tell you the laptop on the beach thing is a lie. That is who we're sitting down with today, and this is Outside the Corporate Box. Today, we're sitting down with Eric Winegard. Eric is the CEO and co-founder of Rare Blue Moon Marketing, a digital marketing agency out of South Florida that has helped thousands of businesses scale through SEO, paid ads, and content that actually converts. He's been in the game for over 20 years, and he's on a mission to build one of the most recognized marketing brands in the country. Eric, welcome to Outside the Corporate Box, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me, fellas. I'm excited. Thank you.
So, Eric, take us back, man. I know you and I go way back to the old school, middle school, but take us back before Rare Blue Moon, before the 300 clients and $5 million in revenue.
Yeah, and those are old numbers. You know, we've recently crossed, 8 figures, which we're very proud of. So, I think to take it back, dude, I grew up with a single mom. Like I wasn't, the idea of entrepreneurship or business talk just wasn't even in the household at all. So, my whole thought process was I was always told, go to college, get a job. And I eventually went down that path, went to college, got a job, and, I became really good at the job. It was sales at a marketing firm. But eventually I just got to a point where I finally wanted to take the entrepreneurial journey. So I didn't even start my entrepreneurship, till the age of 40. I'll be 46 this year. So I think if I can sign off on one message to anybody that hears this, like, dude, it's never too late to reinvent yourself.
So I had a question. Why'd you go from more of a corporate to, hey, I want to be a founder, to that? Like, what was there? What made you do it?
I think most people, if you're in sales, you would love the idea of working for yourself, right? I mean, nobody wants to work for a boss. Nobody wants to be told, what to do, when to do it, right? But I think at the core, it's, do you have the belief in yourself, right? Like, am I good enough to run a company? And for a long time, I knew I was a really good salesperson. I knew I was a great salesperson, and I was a strong sales leader. But I think I probably just lacked the confidence that I had the ability to be a CEO, because a CEO is completely different than a sales leader or a salesperson. There's elements of it. I think I got to a point to where my confidence finally was at a point where I really felt like I could take it on. So I think at the core, I just, started to believe in myself to the utmost ability at the age of 40.
There's a different skill set of being a sales leader or in sales and being a CEO. Like we see a lot in real estate, people like, I'm a great salesperson, I want to become a manager, or I want to run my own team. And so how did you take the shot at, hey, this is something I'm just going to try? Did you know, like, you kind of saw it had inside of you to me, a CEO is a leader, to be a leader like a CEO?
Well, yes. So I think the one blessing that I certainly had was if you're good at sales and if you know you can network, do cold outreach, if you know how to use social media to generate clients, if you're a strong enough salesperson, then to be candid, you should never be fearful of not having revenue. Right. So at least for me, I was like, you know what? I'm so good at sales. I was like, whether I'm a crappy CEO or not, I was like, I know I'm going to bring some money in. It's just, do I do the right thing with that money? But yeah, the skill set needed to now go from a soldier to a platoon leader to, the admiral in the Navy. It's totally different skill sets. And I do think people need to be honest with themselves about, if they do want to take those leaps, if they possess those skill sets, or if they're willing to take on the necessary skill sets that are becoming of a platoon leader or, a general in the Army.
So I want to ask a question because, again, you know JMan for a long time. Do you have a military background?
I actually do. I was in the Navy for 4 years. Yeah.
One thing I've always noticed that people with a military background, and thank you for your service, by the way, people who have any military background, they can adapt and they can lead a lot easier than someone who doesn't. It's like what you go through boot camp. It's like you're told what to do, but you're always told what to do and have that open mind to look at things a different way. And I think that's a lot of times to make people, I guess going from the military to a 9-to-5 job, is absolutely, you're in a military corporate box, but you're also in the, consumer corporate box, and then to do it on your own. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, listen, dude, if you knew me at Jeremiah, I don't know if you knew who I was when I was 18, 19, but I was a demon. Let me just get that out of the way. So I was, I grew up without a father. And I grew up on the west side of town in Rochester. And, listen, these kids like to have a good time. Like they were kind of getting after it a little bit, and I fell to that, and I just kind of, the nightlife really grabbed a hold of me, and I just had no direction or purpose. And so the military for me was a very personal decision because it was me accepting. Sure, I had some talents, but man, I had a lot of flaws. I had a lot of holes, and I knew the military would help guide and direct me and give me some of that structure and help strengthen some of those weaknesses. So I would recommend the military to really any young man, especially that's a little misguided.
Because you believed in yourself, and we love this because there's no such thing as an unemployed good salesperson, right? Like, I used to sell, but I don't anymore. Well, then you weren't good at it, right? Like you didn't, but you built this with your wife, right? And I love that story. You believed in yourself, but I think I've seen some video online of you talking about it, that it takes that shared belief, right? She believed in you. Give us a little bit more on that, where not the Instagram, like everything's great and we've met and we ran down the beach and next thing you know, we have this wonderful company. Give us the real version.
You want the whole jump, right? The whole leap.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'll tell you kind of an interesting conversation my wife and I had probably maybe six years ago. I did great at this company I worked with. I was making $500,000 a year. So it's not like I was not making good money as a salesperson. Okay. And I remember I said something to her because I started this other venture, and it was actually real estate related, Jeremiah. So I'll get into it offline. And I remember telling her, because we made about 800,000 additionally in a year with this new kind of TikTok thing. It was like a course on how to do Airbnbs, blah, blah, blah. And I remember I was like, babe, I think we can get to a point to where we're making like $2 or $3 million a year. And she said to me, she was like, you think that's all you're good enough to do? She goes, Eric, you are capable of so much more. She goes, I see all these people that are doing this, this, and this, and this. She goes, they got nothing on you, Eric. And she was someone that really kind of instilled even more belief in myself. And I'm not someone that lacks confidence.
Right. You're a confident dude. I know that.
For sure. So So for her to take me to the next level of not just surface level belief, but real spiritual belief that I could take on the world, or that we could take on the world together. I mean, yeah, dude, like when you're, when your bills, I remember my bills were $16,000 a month. And I remember once we got our company up to 16,000 a month, I remember I was like, okay, I can finally break even here. So to go from making $500,000 a year and living this cushy lifestyle to now just kind of breaking even every month, my savings were bleeding. I had some losses in crypto, and I had some ups and downs in real estate. I mean, it wasn't smooth sailing at all. It's not smooth sailing today. But I believe that, I said this on another podcast. I believe that whatever your dream is, if it's to make $1 million a year, 10 million a year, 100 million a year, man, the turbulence is going to be equal. So if you want to build $100 million a year company like I do, brother, you're going to be feeling a little shaky on that flight. And that's where we're at now.
In that journey from, hey, I'm an employee, to now I'm starting the CEO, and now I'm running my own company. I think one of the biggest things is that support behind you. You have somebody there saying, hey, you can do this, you can do this. Because I think even if you're self-confident, just having somebody in your corner and saying, hey, you can do this. I mean, because I think no matter what, successful people doubt themselves to a certain point. I think that's what makes us successful, is that always that little, am I sure I can do it? Because I don't think everybody thinks 100% of the times they can accomplish it, 100% of the time. So just having that person in your corner makes it a little bit easier. So what does your company actually do?
Well, we've evolved a lot, but the lead product is the lead services are digital marketing. So whether it's a dentist or a realtor or a contracting firm, or it's a TRT clinic, it could be someone who's a coach online. Anybody that's looking to grow their business, will apply a digital marketing strategy. So they may need a new website. They may need landing pages to run Google ads. They may need Google ads ran. They may need meta ads ran. When it comes to meta ads, you have to understand the different dynamics and creatives with what type of advertisement are you actually creating on the meta platform. Now everybody's trying to rank on ChatGPT. So we apply our digital marketing services to help scale a business. And where we're really growing exceptionally fast is we've become a tech stack company, Jeffrey, because when we start working with that company, we realize very quickly they have other tech needs, CRMs, app development. Everybody wants this whole Claude bot thing, but the average business operator doesn't know how to implement it into their business to streamline a lot of their workflows. So we sell an executive assistant. So we're a marketing company, but we really help a business's overall tech stack.
So along the same lines, digital marketing and especially AI being so, where are the mistakes you see people when they're spending their money, even if, like, we'll talk about real estate related, spending their money on the things that don't work, or just kind of pay and spray? Like, where are the mistakes being made?
Yeah, I think with the marketing, in the marketing realm, a lot of the mistakes are, because you hear this all the time. You hear about all these marketing companies that promise this and they don't get these results. And, the average business owner gets really frustrated with it. People are going to hate to hear this, but usually if you're not spending enough, it's hard to compete. It really is. So, if your Google ads budget is $1,000 a month and you're an HVAC contractor in Rochester, you're not going to get the same results as if you're spending $3,000 to $5,000 a month. Let's say the top guys are probably spending $10,000 or $12,000 a month. So I would argue sometimes the spend isn't enough. But the other mistake that they make is you want to build up to that spend. So, like, let's say you're running meta ads, for example. You don't just put together a creative, run that ad, and spend $20 a day at it and hope that it's going to work. You want to create a different variable, or you want to create a few different creatives, change some variables, whether it's the hook, whether it's the copy, whether it's the individual that's actually on the ad itself. You want to try to change
like
up
A/B testing them.
Test them. Yeah, test them. Exactly. So Testing and spend are the two biggest mistakes I see.
I'm a real estate agent, say, and I want to build a brand. Like I want to build, I want to do that digital marketing. I want to build a brand. Where do I start? Like if I want to do it myself before hiring somebody like you, is hey, I want to try to do this myself. I want to get some traction. Where do I start from?
No, great question. So the question that when somebody asks me this question or any question like this, I always have the business person's best interest at heart. And sometimes that means they don't spend money with me, and that's fine. Because if I can help them grow, then eventually one day they will become my client. To me, what's crazy is if you sign up to a LinkedIn profile, an Instagram profile, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, the whole, the big six, right? Signing up is free. Grabbing your phone and doing a video is free. Putting captions on there and a little bit of music is free. Posting is free. So to build a brand, yeah, it might, most of it is going to come through social media usually. And there's really no excuse anymore because all the information is out there. You can YouTube a video, you can find a video on TikTok to learn how to get better at social media. I just think that realtor needs to be comfortable getting a little uncomfortable. And yeah, you might have a few videos like I did that make you look a little goofy or overweight. Or
JMan does it all the time. It's
yeah,
fine.
right. Yeah, get comfortable being
Every day.
uncomfortable and learn the trade. And if you get 1% better every day for a year, at the end of the year, you're probably 500% better. So, and it's free, so there's no excuse anymore.
So then what separates, if I'm an entrepreneur, I left that job, I was making money at, what's the big differentiator that helped? We talked about belief, that's important, but I think what sets you apart or why don't people grow from that side hustle, right? Somebody might've been in that, hey, I'm doing Airbnbs for money. This is good. I'm covering my bills. I'm making a little bit. Like what sets them apart? What makes somebody grow so rapidly in a short period of time? Like, what's your formula? How did you do it besides having, a wife that believed in you and you guys have this shared vision?
I just was on the phone with one of my friends and he's kind of going through a similar dilemma right now. And sometimes we like two different things, but they don't help each other. So it's like, I want to be ripped and chiseled. I would love it. But I love also love pizza and Reese's peanut butter cups. Right? And
Speak my love language there. I try to do no carbs. Right. I'm like, you just said two, and I'm starving now. Thanks.
Yeah, you see, so it's like, okay. And then, so it's like, okay, listen, I didn't make up these rules. I didn't make up our body this way, but it's just a fact, right? So you want to be ripped and chiseled, but which do you want more? Do you prefer the pizza and Reese's peanut butter cups? So obviously there's some type of give and take there, and it ain't 50-50. It's more like 95-5. Probably more like 98-2 if you want to be a bodybuilder, let's say. So that's how I look at business, you guys, right? It's like what is actually your priority? What are you going to commit to? And I'm not saying you can't enjoy your life, but for me, it was burning the boats. It was, I left that company. I was making $500,000 a year. You love it. I burned all the boats. I got divorced from a woman that was not supportive of my entrepreneurial dreams. And I even divorced the zip code that I lived in for 40 years. And I burned all the boats and I made it to the point to where there was no other option. I was either going to, kill and eat on this island, or I was going to be slayed on this island. And I think what commitment is the elimination of options.
Let me tell you about one of our founding partners, Subi. If you ever felt like the transaction side of real estate is where your time just disappears, Subi was built for you. It's your AI transaction genie. From contract to close, it keeps everything organized. Your timeline's on track and all the details accounted for. Their tagline says it all. Your work is my command. Check them out at oksubi.com. Link in the show notes, and be sure to tell them J Squared sent you.
I like that. So would you, for somebody who's in that corporate box now and says, well, you know what? I'm going to keep my full-time job and, I'm just going to dabble. I'm going to do a real estate part-time. I'm going to do social media part-time. I'm going to do whatever part-time. Like, what do you think about, I'm doing that because I need that safety net? Like, I understand you said burn the boats, which is a lot different than burn the bridges. So you burn the boats. There is this key distinction there. I learned that the other
Significantly
day.
different. Yep.
There is significantly different. Like, what about people say, well, I need that safety net. Like I need, like you said, you had bills, the $16,000 a month in bills. And you were like, hey, finally my company's just covered. What do you say to those people who want to take that leap, but don't because of, I have that safety net?
You know what I would ask? I would actually ask them, do you want to be ripped and chiseled? Or do you just say you want to be ripped and chiseled? Do you want everything that being ripped and chiseled takes? Do you want to can you handle not having alcohol? Can you handle not having pizza? Right? So it's like, let's get this out of the way. Do you actually want what comes with entrepreneurship and success? Because what I would say to some people, I'm not here to convince you to go my journey. Like the safe route may be better for you. You might not have the psychological capacity to take this head on. You may not. You may not have the mental toughness. Let's get that out of the way. I don't think this is for everybody. But if you tell me you want to do this, or you want to go on an entrepreneurial journey, okay, here's what it takes. You work your 9 to 5, and you know what? You might have to work from 5 to 9. You may have to work on Saturday and Sunday. And you may have to build up this side hustle to a point to where, if you're making $50K a year as a teacher, and let's say you want to become a realtor, yeah, you may need to get yourself, I don't know what the number is, 8 to 10 closings and a network of business before you can take the leap. So, and guess what? That means you're going to be working some 12, 13-hour days and some Saturdays and Sundays, and it's going to be a year of hell.
I think, right, I don't think a lot of people know what it takes to be successful as a CEO or as an entrepreneur when you're leaving that, hey, I got a job that's paying this, paying my health insurance, paying whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, to make that jump, to make that leap, I think it frightens a lot of people. And you're right. I don't, like you said, that, do you really want to be chiseled? I like the pizza a little bit too much. Like that's the truth. It's the truth. It's like, I could walk to Starbucks, but guess what? I'm drive. And if I walk to Starbucks, I'd lose that extra 3 pounds I need to lose. Like if I did that every single day, or if I just cut the Starbucks out totally and drank the coffee black. So I think it's a really good point that it's at what point during this was it like, hey, this isn't good? Did you ever have that thought of, hey, this isn't going to work? Like, hey, I'm going to go back inside the box. Or it was just truly boats are burned, I'm here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Like, were there a couple times where the ship wasn't moving along as fast as I'd like? There was never an option of I'm going back. It was just like, of course, there were a couple times where I was like, damn, maybe this is going to go much slower than I thought. Or maybe this is going to take a little bit more creativity. Maybe this is going to take a little more carb cutting than I realized. Right? So maybe I have to stay in the gym a little longer. There's such great parallels with entrepreneurship and fitness, which is why I love using it, because it makes sense to people. And I got to give it to my wife, man. Every time, I probably had a couple times where I got really discouraged, a minimum of 2 where I was really, she always found a way to kind of reinstill that belief into me. And so, yeah, I think everybody has those doubts, right? But like, when you have that bad self-talk, do you know how to conjure up that good self-talk? And you know what, for me personally, Jeremiah and Jeffrey, I can't be out drinking. I can't be out eating like crap. I have to go to the gym in the morning. So it's like, I have to lead this life of health and vigor to be ready to take on the psychological hurdles that I take on every day in entrepreneurship. So
To have a healthy business.
dude, have to. You can't be a fat slob and run a company. It ain't gonna work.
Well, and let me, because we actually did a podcast on burn the boats one time, and that's why I smiled when you said it. For people that don't know, the Vikings, the Romans, this was an old adage where they landed, they burned the boats, and basically said, "Hey, we don't need them because we're not going back. We're going to conquer you, and that's all there is to it." That's how I love that.
Oh, I love it too. It's elimination of options. That's commitment.
Well, also the thing with burn the boats is this. It's and this is what a lot of people miss out of that. And I do love the saying, me and JMan, like I said, of course, it was burn the boats for two reasons. My people that I'm with, my Viking people, they can't run away now. Like the people, like my people can't desert me is one of the reasons. The other thing is that the enemy looks at that like, why did they do that? And that's more of that psychological factor of, they're going to fight till they die because they have no other choice because they can't go anywhere. So that's the reason why I like that as, hey, I'm burning the boats. Really had no option besides to move forward.
Yeah. Another way to look at this too is, let's say you're a guy who's never thrown a punch in your life, and you're not I'm not suggesting you be a killer, right? But, and you've never thrown a punch in your life and you think, no, I'm really not that tough. Well, go inside a ring with someone who knows how to throw a punch, and you got two options. You're just either going to get beat to pulp, or eventually you're going to have to fight back. But you're never going to learn how to throw a punch unless you put yourself in front of danger. Entrepreneurship is the exact same thing. You have to be willing to put yourself in the presence of danger. And I got Jeremiah fired up right now. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, so you get punched in the face a couple times. You're like, that's not so bad. I could take this. Let me deliver a couple more, right? And you kind of get used to it.
Or you go the opposite way is what Tyson said, which I love that line. Everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face. And I think that sums up a lot of businesses is like, we all have a plan. Hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get in real estate. I'm going to, a design company, a digital marketing company. And all of a sudden you get punched in the face and like, So I have a question, because this is always my question I love asking people is, what's the biggest failure? Like everybody always talks about success and what makes them successful. I always want to know, like, what was the biggest failure? What's the one thing you would have changed or done differently?
What do I wish I would have done different? There was a couple dumb hires. There's, I was a little, I don't want to say desperate, but, maybe not calculating my decision making very well. There's a couple poor hires. Those almost, those kind of set us back a little bit. I found out one of the hires wasn't even doing anything servicing our clients at all for a little bit. That was, but we were young, we were green, and we wanted to pay people on the cheap. I couldn't give someone a 6-figure salary or whatever it may be. So I think the hiring, a couple of dumb hires, whereas today, like, I'd rather just pay up for the real quality hire. And I hate to say it, if they don't work out, you got to be willing to fire them quick too. Because if it walks like walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it ain't a pigeon. So you got, right?
Right.
So be willing to pay
Hire
up.
slow, fire fast.
Yes, sir. So hiring, I made a couple mistakes.
We have a lot of agents that we work with in the luxury kind of higher price point. So what kind of advice could you give them to landing those larger, higher paying clients where they feel like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready. I'm not good enough.
Let me give you guys, and I don't know if this answers your question exactly, but I do want people to understand this. I'll use agents. There is a myth out there that wealthy people aren't on social media. My ass. The Wegmans.
Amen. Say it again. It again.
The Wegmans are all on social media. They're just probably not active. Danny Wegman, right? I'm sure he's on it. He's probably just not commenting a lot, right?
Yeah, they're consuming, not contributing.
Exactly.
They're consuming,
right?
and not contributing to it. Yeah.
Right. So understanding that, right, and understanding how Danny Wegman probably thinks and talks. But I think a big miss for an agent, a lot of times, dude. And I'm giving out one of my secrets right now. I normally charge. This is some high level stuff, dude. Facebook Lives. So yes, you should be posting content, but if you're doing a tour of a home or if you're listing a home, dude, take your cell phone. Don't worry about how you look or sound. You got no opportunity to edit. Do a Facebook Live. Do a tour of the home. Talk about the home. And those social media platforms will prioritize the heck out of your live, and you will end up drawing people that you've never been able to attract before. But every realtor should be gunning for Facebook Lives when they can.
And I love that. I tell agents all the time. That's why live and live are spelled the same way, because you need to live by that button. That's literally that's. And I always love the lives better because I like I like the raw video, the moment type of stuff better than the highly produced. Listen, if you're an agent, you still need highly produced. You need those, property tours and that type of stuff. But the walkthrough and someone can see your personality means so much more than just, oh, look, they did a nice commercial. Yeah, you need the commercials too.
Yeah, if I can talk intelligently about real estate live, then you know that I know my stuff. It's not like, hold on, wait, I didn't say that right. Let me do one more take. Let's do it again.
As if you notice, these podcasts, we do have very, very little editing because we just roll with it. It's just what it is. It is what it is, and that's it.
Yeah, there's a craving for like we can already see on social. When I do a post on Instagram, if I just allow AI to do it and it's an AI photo and it's an AI caption, it doesn't get anywhere near the same amount of engagement. But when I do something really raw, authentic, and organic, and I talk like me, which is, I don't know how I talk, but it's real.
Talk like you're from the ROC, baby.
It's real. When I talk like that, brink, the engagement's crazy. So there's a craving for authenticity, for sure.
If your company disappeared tomorrow,
You had to start over with nothing.
Yep, just disappeared. That was it. Company's over. That's it. Something happened. What would you do?
What would I do? Well, the beauty is I know how to create a transaction. And as long as you don't take my suits away from me and my hair gel, I would get my hair combed back, throw on a suit, and go door knocking to some damn businesses and sell them something that's a non-tangible product like consulting. And I would sell that real estate office or that dentist or that contractor why they should hire me for consulting. I'd get myself a $5,000 check from them, tell them to pay me $5,000 a month, and I'd build myself up 20 consulting clients, and I'd be making $1.2 million a year. And then I'd start another marketing firm.
And because you know what, and it's like drop the mic there. It's because, listen, ultimately, you said it earlier. It's that you have that background of being a sales leader, and having that background. And me and JMan say it all the time. Parachute us into any area in this country in real estate, and we're going to do sales because we're the ones that are going to knock on the door. We're the ones that are going to have conversations with people. And you seem the same way. It's like nothing's going to stop you because ultimately your success depends upon your mindset, but also depends upon what you say. And to you,
the only thing I need is my mouth. Mm-hmm. If I don't have my mouth, I'm going to fail. So, but as long as I have my jaw, I'm selling somebody something somewhere.
Here's what I love. And if you're watching this, rewind it back. If you're listening, you can hear it in his voice. But he did not blink. We're going to tell you, folks. We asked that question. He leaned in, looked at the camera, and they said, this is what I would do. I put on some suits, get my hair gel, and go make some money. Like, once you've done something and you know you can do it, it's repeatable. And I think that was that's why I was like, okay, that's it. Let's close this out. Ready to go.
But it's scaling because, and I think you're right, you can scale yourself so much. You can only scale, there's only so much you can do by yourself. And that's why I liked it. Wasn't just, hey, I'm going to go out there and just do this consulting. I'm going to go out there and do consulting, make enough money to start my own company again. Because you can't, like, if agents all the time, oh, I want to do more of this, I want to do more of this. You only scalable yourself to a certain extent before you need other people around you. And that's always fun, like that CEO journey of becoming, from that inside the corporate box to outside the corporate box and doing it yourself is you realize you need people around you. You can't do it all yourself. You fortunately had your wife there as your partner, which I think is cool.
Yeah. I one thing that I've taken to heart is I really try to, if I have a weakness, right, I want to acknowledge it. And a man shouldn't have such a big ego that he thinks he's weaknessless. Like, that's absurd. Your ego should be big enough to realize that you have weaknesses, and your ego should be so big that you want to improve on them to be the best version of yourself. So I'm a great salesperson who's a great sales leader, and now trying to be a great CEO is brings a whole other element of challenges. I didn't go to business school. Nobody, taught me about HR, all these things. So but I recognize their weaknesses. So therefore I study them. I pay for very high level mentoring and, masterminds and consulting, et cetera. So I know it's a weakness, being a full scale CEO, but I acknowledge it, and I'm always working on it.
And I think that's what makes a good entrepreneur, a good CEO, a good leader is knowing that you're not great at everything. Somebody once told me, if you think you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Surround yourself with people who are smart, people who, again, might not be your skill set. HR might not be your skill set. If you're a real estate agent and pick up the phone isn't your skill set, you don't like doing that, hire someone to do it for you. And that's how you build your scalability, your team within real estate. Get good people around you to do good things, that they do good things well.
Agreed. Yeah. And I got plenty of good people on my team. Trust me. There's some things that we do in my company and I don't even understand it. I don't even want to know how. I just keep doing it. Let's go.
Well, I'm going to bring us to our last question. Now, this is going to be our last question. What is your favorite quote and why does it matter to you?
So I've become much more spiritual the past year in my life, and there's no way this is a coincidence because I'm actually huge. I'm still a San Antonio Spurs fan, Jeremiah, by the way.
Wow.
Still a big basketball fan. And, there was this quote that I loved as a young man, and I read it when I think I was in the military at the time. And it's by Jacob Reese. I think I can regurgitate it from heart. It's, when I go look at a stone cutter hit a stone with his sledgehammer 100 times, it doesn't show a crack in it. However, at the 101st blow, it splits into two. And I know it was not that last blow. It was all that had gone on before. Damn, right? It's about perseverance, right? And brother, I read that quote and fell in love with that quote. And back in 2007, I found out it was in the Spurs locker room. And they call it pounding the rock, pounding the rock, pounding the rock. So you'll actually hear my basketball team say, pound that rock, pound that rock. So whenever I have a salesperson that works with me or an account manager, whoever, I tell them, I'm like, it's probably only blow 52. You probably just got to keep on hitting away. But that quote for me just, when things aren't going right or things aren't going as fast as I'd like, I just remember it's probably only blow 66 and I just got to keep on swinging.
Love it. I love it. Well, I want to thank you, Eric, for spending some time with us. And look at folks, if you're listening or you're watching this, and if that conversation hit you the way it hit us, share it. Send it to somebody who's in the middle of building their own thing right now or thinking about leaving that corporate box. Subscribe if you haven't already. And next Monday, we're sitting down with another guest, another great story. You don't want to miss that one. But before we let you go, we want to say thank you to our founding partners, Wise Agent, Subi, and the CE Shop. They make this show possible, and they are building tools that actually help people in this industry. Check them out. All the links are in the show notes, and thank you for spending time with us. That is not something we take lightly. Now go make it happen.